realm of possibility. He obviously has end-stage lung disease. If they leave the oxygen on and they shoot him, I mean, if there's a tank in the room and some ricochet hits the tank, it will explode for sure if it damages the tank. Oxygen is highly, highly explosive.
Menzies is set to be executed on September 5th. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump has turned his attention back to federal troops in Washington, D.C., and is hinting that Chicago will be next.
It's not clear exactly what this would look like and how this could be in other cities, what that pushback would be from local officials as well as state officials, like, say, the governor of Illinois, for example. D.C., of course, is a unique case because you do have a city here that is not a state. You have the mayor, but there is that ability of the federal government to step in and have that oversight if they choose to. And that's what the president is doing with this emergency order.
ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers in Washington. Mr. Trump also mentioned New York as another target. U.S. House investigators are expected to begin receiving documents today in connection with the Epstein files.
House Oversight Chair James Comer says the records transfer will take time. He notes there's a need to be sure names of victims and any material that might depict child sex abuse are kept from public view. Comer's committee voted to subpoena the documents earlier this month. In recent weeks, 3 federal judges have rejected the Justice Department's request to unseal grand jury testimony in the Epstein investigations. One of the judges noted that prosecutors already have much in their possession that has not yet been made public.
ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy reporting. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow right now up by 858 points, nearly a full 2%, sitting at 45,644. S&P 500 up by 98 points, and the NASDAQ up by 407 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
We have had a small accident in Utah County. This is on northbound I-15, just past 8th North as you go from Orem into the Linden area. In Salt Lake County, all of our valley freeways are seeing a good drive with no other problems. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A chance of showers.
Mornings are for reach.
Increasing over the next few days. Days high 93, 95 tomorrow. 30% chance of showers the next couple of days, but we are up to a 60% chance by the first of next week. 90 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Bob's had the same car, Betty, since high school, and that was a while ago. Bob's dealt with wipers, slow starts, and a few warning lights. And every time, Bob went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped with free services and the right parts to keep Bob and Betty on the road. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
The man accused of murdering 2 Tremonton police officers appeared before a judge today. His first appearance since his arrest on Sunday night following the deadly shooting of those officers. Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. In the line of duty, we have special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Are you Ryan Michael Bate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ryan Michael Bate made his initial appearance in the case and did so virtually from the Weber County Jail, where he's currently being held without bail. Bate, wearing an orange jumpsuit, could be seen crying on camera throughout the hearing, struggling to keep his head or eyes up, as Judge Spencer Walsh read off the 20 charges he's facing, including
aggravated murder, a capital offense in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-5-202. Count 3, aggravated murder, a capital offense.
Bate only spoke 3 times in the 20 or so minutes this hearing lasted, battling through tears each time.
Mr. Bate, are you seeking to be appointed counsel to represent you in these cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're currently in custody, and so you're not able to work. Do you have any assets or property that you could access to be able to retain counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Bate was appointed 2 attorneys qualified to handle a death penalty case in Utah, as prosecutors have already made it known that's what they're seeking in this case. The judge also read additional charges against him, including aggravated assault and domestic violence in the presence of a child. Those charges stem from an incident last year, but were dropped after the victim chose not to testify. Prosecutors refiled them after he was arrested, and they're also requesting a protective order against Bate. He's scheduled to make his next court appearance on October 30th. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
We are learning more about the memorial and funeral service plans for the 2 Tremont and Garland police officers killed in the line of duty. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has details.
A public viewing for Officer Eric Estrada and Sergeant Lee Sorensen will be held at the Bear River High School in Tremonton this upcoming Wednesday, the 27th, from 3 to 7 p.m. Following that, both funerals will be held in Logan at the USU Spectrum, but a day apart. Officer Estrada's funeral will be on Thursday, the 28th, starting at 10 a.m., and Sergeant Sorensen's will be held Friday, also at 10 a.m. Each officer will have a private burial. Organizers are asking for everyone planning to attend the funerals to arrive early and be seated by that 10 a.m. start time. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
KSL will carry both of those funeral services in full on air and online at kslnewsradio.com. Utahns from all over the state doing what they can to support the Sorensen and Estrada families in their darkest hours of need. KSL 5 TV's Mike Anderson stopped by Cafe Sabar yesterday, where crowds of people had come out for a special fundraiser to support the families of the fallen officers.
They expected support here at Cafe Sabar, but I think that they're getting unexpectedly slammed at virtually all of the locations, they say, down in Layton, southern Utah, here and in Bear Lake, and it shows just how much people want to help these families.
How are you doing, sir? Whether you had the plans or not, you can show up giving support to 2 families suffering a huge loss.
Yeah, we were planning on going out today, so it was like perfect because we're like, oh, we could come here and be part of this as well.
Jessica Jenkins and her friends are doing it.
Okay. Casey? For 4? Perfect.
As were many others during the lunch hour today, keeping owner Justin Hamilton very busy.
Yeah, we are surprised. And I think all of our locations are in the same. I've had some texts from the other locations as well that even people that don't live in Tremonton or Logan are still been impacted by this and want to give back.
The idea is simple. You show up and order the local special, a burrito and drink.
We want these families to know how much we care about them, and this is something just we can do to make an impact and help give them the love and support that they need at this time.
Hamilton says 100% of those orders at all 5 Utah locations will be passed on to help the families of Sergeant Lee Sorensen and Officer Eric Estrada.
We definitely feel for the families, yeah. It's hard. They've been in our prayers.
There are plenty of people here who have never met those officers or their families, but they are grateful for their service.
And it's whatever we can do to help them, you know, and the families can't even imagine the tragic loss.
A bit of your time and money and a night out. A small way to offer some important help to the families of 2 men who gave everything.
It's kind of heartwarming to know that so many people care within this valley and we're supportive of each other.
That fundraiser is over now, but there are several other fundraisers still underway, including one from the Fraternal Order of Police. You can find that information at kslnewsradio.com. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale, up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Limited time. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
A dramatic reaction from investors after a speech by the Fed chair in which he said the Fed is now open to cutting interest rates. While Fed Chair Jerome Powell didn't announce a rate cut, just the hint of a change in Fed policy has caused the markets to rally. Senior economist for Zions Bank, Robert Spenlove, tells me why the markets are so excited about just a hint of a rate cut.
What we're seeing is a change in Fed policy, and it's kind of a change in market expectations about what the Fed is going to be doing. So, the Fed started dropping interest rates September of last year, but then going into 2025, the Fed stopped. They hit pause on their rate cuts, and they've really been kind of digging in their heels for the past 9 months about cutting rates. And so what was really remarkable today was the Fed now is reversing that, and they're saying they're going to start back in, or at least they're hinting that they're willing to start cutting rates again in September.
Yeah, help us understand this, because the next rate cut would only be like 0.25%. So why do the markets react so dramatically to this kind of news?
Yeah, and it could be any amount. If you go back to last September, the Fed actually did cut 0.5% or 50 basis points. But what the markets really care about is they care about that direction. And they care that there was uncertainty whether the Fed was actually going to start cutting rates. And now Jerome Powell opened the door to more rate cuts. So that's really what the markets are reacting to. It's not actually that 0.25 point, or even if it's a larger 0.5 point, it's really that the Fed is sending the signal that they're going to start reducing rates again.
So for folks who've been waiting quite some time to actually maybe refinance a mortgage or something like that, I mean, should they have been waiting all this time? I mean, is it a good thought to just keep waiting a couple months?
Well, rates have been very high. And it has, if you think about Fed interest rates, the Fed is essentially, it's like they're driving a car and they're either hitting the gas or hitting the brakes. And the Fed has really been hitting the brakes hard on the economy for the past 3 years. And so it's caused interest rates to be higher, borrowing costs to be higher. So now that the Fed is starting to lay off on that, now they're not hitting the gas. They're just letting their foot off the brake a little bit. And so the signal is it might be a good time to get back into housing markets or into borrowing for a business or getting a credit card. And by the way, we have seen just today, we've seen some of those longer-term interest rates drop in response to the Fed, where the 10-year interest rate has dropped about 10 basis points.
How does that work? I mean, they haven't even taken any action yet.
They're pricing in the expectation that the Fed is going to drop rates. So this is often what you see with markets, where there's a famous saying, you buy on the rumor and sell on the news. So what you're seeing today is markets are buying on the rumor, or they're moving on the rumor that the Fed is going to start cutting rates.
Talk about how much of a difference a cut like this makes. Say they did actually cut by 0.5%. How much of a difference does that really make for folks?
A lot of that is it's that mental impact that we're seeing. Mortgage rates for so long really since the 1980s. Mortgage rates have been trending down, and people got used to that. And we bottomed out with mortgage rates in the 3% level. But then for the last 3 years, with the Fed reversing those rates, we've seen 30-year mortgage rates pop up to around 6.5% to 7%. And as I talk to people in the real estate or mortgage industry or housing industry, they talk about this kind of mental block that you get once mortgage rates go up about 6.5%. So if we can get those closer to around 6% or in the 5% range, it really kind of changes people's feeling about whether it's a good time to buy a new house.
Any final thoughts for us?
No, just one other kind of interesting tidbit that came out of this meeting was the Chairman Powell talked about how for the last 5 years, the Fed has actually been leaning towards encouraging higher inflation. That was their model. Their model was to encourage higher inflation because before 5 years ago, before the pandemic, they were more concerned about low inflation than high inflation, and they've reversed that model as well. That model really was kind of a troubling model. It's the reason the Fed took so long and let inflation get away coming out of the pandemic. And so that was one of those kind of a little more hidden parts of Chairman Powell's speech, but it's having a big impact on markets as well.
Senior economist for Zions Bank, Robert Spendlove, that impact, for example, the Dow, NASDAQ up by nearly 2% at this hour. The S&P 500's up by 1.5%. Stay with us. We will have much more coming up, but first let's check KSL traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account, and let's check in with Ricky Meese.
I'm looking at a live shot of this small accident in Utah County. If you're going to be traveling on I-15 northbound, it's after 8th North Orem and well into Linden. It is a tractor trailer out of traffic mostly on the right shoulder, but the back end of this tractor trailer is partially sticking out in that right lane, so definitely use some caution getting around that. Get a free ticket to Sharing Aloha through August with every Cinemark purchase of 2+ tickets. Use code ALOHA, all capital letters, at checkout. Limited number available. SharingAlohaTheMovie.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Some things never change. Sure, we've expanded Inside Sources to 3 hours on KSL, and it's on 9 to noon. But the news, traffic reports, and weather updates that have been a part of your ride in the car since before you can remember, always there. And that will never change. Find us in your car at 102.7 FM.
Have you seen those billboards that have a giant turtle on them that say, "Win a new air conditioner"? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you're probably wondering, what's that all about? Well, the turtle is a character in our new TV commercials that'll be airing this summer. I know it's kind of silly, but we're always trying to figure out how to grab attention and stand out in a crowded market. We thought a big turtle would do the trick. Another thing we're doing is every week this summer, Any Hour is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer. We're calling it the Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. Here's how it works. This summer, if you get an estimate to replace your air conditioner or purchase a new air conditioner from Any Hour Services, you'll automatically be entered into our weekly drawing. If your name is drawn, Any Hour will pay for your air conditioner, up to $8,750. We just want to meet more homeowners that are in the market for a new air conditioner and have the chance to earn their business. We're confident that once you have an Any Hour technician in your home, you'll see why we have over 28,000 Google reviews. No purchase is necessary. See official rules at anyhour.com.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. It's been almost 2 weeks since President Trump announced that he was calling in the National Guard and taking over the D.C. Police Department.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
The president's crackdown on crime not sitting well with many residents in the nation's capital. On today's episode of the Start Here podcast, host Stephen Portnoy speaks with ABC's Karen Travers about crime in D.C. and Mr. Trump's recent visit with federal troops.
It's day 11 of the crime emergency President Trump has declared here in Washington, D.C., and the White House has been touting it as a major success.
To date, a total of 48 homeless encampments have been cleared in Washington, D.C. by multi-agency teams.
The Republican governors of 6 states have sent hundreds of National Guard troops here, supplementing more than 800 members of the D.C. National Guard. The Metropolitan Police Department is now receiving orders from the Justice Department. Federal agencies have ramped up their enforcement, and ICE has set up checkpoints on city streets and has been seen taking migrants into custody.
Whether it's ICE or FBI or Homeland Security, we're seeing them out. We're seeing them going into restaurants.
D.C. residents aren't thrilled about all this, at least not according to a Washington Post survey. Nearly 8 in 10 oppose the action.
So thank you to these troops. I know I always like
Loud boos and protests were heard Wednesday when Vice President Vance and other top Trump aides traveled to Union Station to thank the troops. Late yesterday, President Trump headed out himself to a Park Police outpost to offer burgers and pizza to the National Guard and law enforcement. And ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers was along for the ride with the president. She joins us now from the White House. President Trump said he was going to go on patrol, Karen, but that's not what happened.
Yeah.
So tell us, what did Trump say and do last night?
Yeah, you said I was along for the ride, and I was. And I think there was an expectation based on what the president had said earlier in the day that it was going to be more of a ride. I mean, maybe a ride along where he was going to go out and actually see what some of these law enforcement agencies and National Guard troops have been doing in D.C. He said he was going out tonight with them, but instead he gave remarks at the Park Police facility that's in Southeast D.C., right in the Anacostia River.
Well, I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. I wanted to do this. We've had some incredible results.
President Trump making his comments before a gathering of some 300 people involved in the crime crackdown. The DEA, FBI, and Secret Service all represented. Now, the president standing in front of a military vehicle that said Homeland Investigations on it.
You got to be strong, you got to be tough, you got to do your job, whatever it takes to do your job.
It was certainly a show of force to show all these different agencies that are involved in this effort. But the White House said, and the president said too, it was just a chance to come and thank them for the work they're doing, saying it was a tribute to them. He brought hamburgers made by the White House, but also brought some pizzas from a pizza shop here in D.C. and said he was going to stick around, Stephen, and have dinner with them. But the second he was finished remarks, he shook a couple hands, and we were back in the motorcade, back across the river, heading to the White House, and that was it for the night. There was no venture out. There was no President Trump patrolling the streets, which is certainly how it might have been pitched earlier on Thursday.
And we should, just to set the scene, this was a sort of a remote federal installation, nowhere near where people live or work, other than the people who work for the department.
Exactly. This headquarter building is right along the Anacostia River, and it actually is a place where the Park Service helicopters take off from. So you have that much land there and space. People can jog on a path nearby and ride their bikes, but there was nobody near there. That was a facility that was certainly on lockdown because of the president's visit. So no protesters. He wasn't near any residential areas where people that live in D.C. who are experiencing what's happening right now could come out and express their views. Not a commercial area either, and this is also not an area that would see any crime because of where it's situated.
Karen Travers says while people in every U.S. city want less crime, it's the mechanism being used by the administration that has them protesting in the streets.
We want occupation of no communities, and we want to be investing in the very things that make communities thrive, and it's not more military.
People, I think, are pretty fired up about this, but also, you got to go about your daily life, too, and go to your jobs and get your kids to their activities and all of that. And all of it, though, it's not necessarily angry and protesting and sending a mad message to Trump. It's the sign that you see in most places. And what J.D. Vance, the vice president, Stephen Miller, and the defense secretary heard when they went to Union Station on Wednesday.
So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C.
The message you keep hearing and reading is free D.C. That's what the posters are, and that's what the protesters are chanting at some of these events that they're going to.
CNN reports that 10 cities in the Republican-led states who are sending National Guard troops to D.C. actually have higher crime rates than Washington, D.C. Some companies are now hiding information from the Google search engine because of concerns about artificial intelligence in the search results. Many business owners say that if Google's AI continues to cut out the middleman on information, there may not be any more companies to get the information from soon. KSL investigator Matt Gephardt has more.
It used to be that if you typed a query into Google, you would be met with a list of links that would take you to a website with the answer. But now, Google's AI just gives the answer straight away. Sure, the source is displayed over there on the right, but since you already have the information you need, you don't need to click the link. No clicks, no revenue for the website that did the work to publish the information in the first place. For John Kiernan, it has reached a breaking point.
Our content was being kind of essentially stolen.
Kiernan is the managing editor for WalletHub, a financial publication that does surveys and gives out advice. But they can only do that if they can stay in business, which he says is not a guarantee with AI scraping their work and giving it away for free.
What was the breaking point? Money, I assume?
I guess it does go back to that. WalletHub, we try to do what's best for the consumer at the end of the day, but it's not a charity.
So WalletHub has taken an interesting step. To see a lot of their content, they are now requiring people log in. You can sign up for free, but it will hide the information from Google's bots.
Kind of make it so that we have more of a direct relationship with the consumer.
The KSL investigators reached out to Google to ask about all of this. They acknowledged they got my email, but otherwise did not respond. So just for fun, I typed into Google, does Google have a comment? And their AI bot spit out, in short, Google declined to comment specifically on WalletHub's decision.
We're going to try to survive without Google.
As for Kiernan, he says he has heard from other publishers who are watching to see how it works.
We're just trying to keep the bots out for now until they kind of learn how to respect publishers' rights.
Meantime, only time will tell what solution Google will come up with. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Rain in the forecast, but reservoirs around the state draining at an alarming rate. Using origami as a guide for engineering developments in space, all thanks to BYU students' new research. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
We do have some busy and slower traffic northbound I-15 from the I-80-201 junction to downtown. Maria?
Better chance of showers over the next few days, 30% for the next couple, but by next week, 60% chance of showers on Monday and Tuesday. ABC News is next.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has posted the full audio and transcript of his interview with Ghislaine Maxwell last month, the former accomplice and companion of Jeffrey Epstein, who was convicted of sex trafficking. Epstein died by suicide while awaiting his sex trafficking trial. ABC's Alex Mallon on what we're learning.
From sources familiar with the matter, we have confirmed that in that interview, Ghislaine Maxwell did not provide any information that would have implicated any potential top clients of Jeffrey Epstein or associates of any criminal conduct. Now, remember, the reason that Todd Blanche gave for arranging this meeting is because he said that the DOJ's internal files did not have any information in them that would lead the Justice Department to open any criminal investigations into somebody that has not yet been charged.
Maxwell is appealing her conviction. New York police say at least 4 people have died in a bus crash on I-90 in Pembroke. Dozens of others were injured. The cause of the crash unknown. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local stories. Today, the man accused of killing 2 Tremont police officers made his first court appearance since his arrest.
Are you Ryan Michael Bate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ryan Bate is facing aggravated murder charges and more than a dozen others after prosecutors say he gunned down Sergeant Lee Sorensen and Officer Eric Estrada outside his Tremont home Sunday night. In today's hearing, Bate struggled to keep his head up and was seen sobbing through the entire hearing. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. He's expected to return to the courtroom in late October. A man from West Jordan is being accused of taking part in a jewelry heist in Florida where a family was held at gunpoint for hours. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
In this heist that happened back in March, Miami-Dade County deputies say 3 masked men, they went to a jewelry store owner's home in the middle of the night. They held them at gunpoint, including their toddler, and ransacked the house, taking $75,000 in jewelry and clothing. Then police say the suspects drove off in the family's Cadillac. ABC Miami affiliate WSVN says police have now linked Jean Vasquez from Utah to 2 other suspects. Vasquez was booked in jail on suspicion of kidnapping and armed robbery. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Utah's reservoir levels are dropping fast.
They are at about 67% full. And that is about where we typically are for this time of year. Unfortunately, we started the summer quite a bit higher. We started the summer about 20% higher than we would normally be at that for that time of year. And so we have lost a lot of water in our reservoirs.
Utah Division of Water Resources engineer Laura Haskell says not only is the water drying, Utahns are using more of it. She says it's important to be mindful of how much water we are using. Other local stories KSL is following. Utah Jazz, Utah Mammoth are mourning the loss of communications chief Caroline Klein, who died today from cancer at the age of 40. Jazz and Mammoth owner Ryan Smith posted on X this morning saying Utah lost a legend and that working with her was a highlight of his career. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 840 points, sitting at 45,624. That after word from the Fed chair that there might be a possibility interest rates will be cut. S&P 500 up by 94 points and the NASDAQ up by 389 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And here's Ricky Meese.
In Weber County, we have a crash on southbound I-15 Riverdale Road. The vehicles are over to the left shoulder, but it's just a tight squeeze through there with the construction, and it is causing delays. Our other accident is northbound I-15 in Utah County, going from Orem to Linden, where we have a vehicle over to the right shoulder. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
About a 30% chance of showers through the weekend, but increasing by Monday and Tuesday, where there is a 60% chance of showers. Today's high about 93 degrees. Right now, 90 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Rain in the forecast over the next several days, ending quite a long dry streak across northern Utah. Temperatures dropping as well.
Low to mid-90s with 30 to 40% rain chances each afternoon. That's going to be keeping us on the cool side. But guess what? It gets even cooler next week. Highs in the 80s for the most part. Chance for thunderstorms each afternoon. It'll be a nice monsoon moisture flow. And what we're hoping is we can get some measurable rainfall out of this stuff as we head into next week.
That is KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson. But even with some rain in the forecast, we are seeing lower water in our reservoirs right now. Water managers say we are using more water than last year, and it's causing the reservoirs to drain at an alarming rate. Laura Haskell with Utah Division of Water Resources says they're encouraging Utahns everywhere to stop using so much water so our already lower reservoirs don't get into a dangerous spot.
They are at about 67% of full, and that is about where we typically are for this time of year. Unfortunately, we started the summer quite a bit higher. We started the summer about 20% higher than we would normally be at that for that time of year, and so we have lost a lot of water in our reservoirs.
Okay, so what does that tell you? I mean, about our consumption or just the heat? What does that kind of information tell you?
The demand is up, and that could be from a number of different reasons. It could be from use. It could be from evaporation. The air right now is very thirsty for water because we haven't had storms, and it's been pretty warm. And so the air is definitely thirstier for water, but we think it is also because people are using more.
If we continue at this rate, how low do you expect these reservoirs to go before the next water season?
They typically go down until about the end of October. We're hoping that they do slow down a little bit as it cools off, and we don't have sun quite as much. It's not quite as hot in the day, and so our use does go down a little bit, but they continue to decline typically until about October, the 1st of October.
Mm-hmm. So what do you tell folks? Are we looking at water restriction next year because you are talking about more consumption, or is it just too soon to tell if something like that will be needed?
It's too soon to tell. We are seeing signs that it might be dry going into the fall, and things are kind of setting up that it wouldn't be unexpected, I guess. We'll have to wait and see, but it wouldn't be unexpected.
Okay, you talk about increased consumption, but is that because there are more people, or does that show signs that maybe we aren't conserving the way we should be?
It's likely that people aren't conserving the way they should be. We had kind of a normal snowpack, and so people may have gotten a little lax on their water use and not paid as much attention as they should have to how much water they were using.
What would you like people to think about as we reach the end of the season here?
It's going to probably rain this week, and so be sure and turn off your sprinklers. Just really think about where you're using water. Don't get into this routine or just do it automatically. Think about every time you're using water, is this needed? Is this a smart way to use water?
Is there anything you'd like to add?
slowtheflow.org has the weekly lawn watering guide. They'll give you tips on how to water your lawn as well as indoor water saving tips.
Since June 1st, reservoirs have been draining at double the normal rate. Division Water Resources is asking everyone to look at how they can cut back on water. Right now, the reservoirs are at 67%. This time last year, they were at 83%. Across the state of Utah this summer, fires have ravaged acres of once beautiful land. Smokey the Bear, along with the Unified Fire's Kelly Bird, both agree only you can help prevent those devastating wildfires.
We just need everyone to take every precaution that they can when they're out in those, wildland areas, or even if in kind of the interface areas near our homes, and just ensure that they're not inadvertently starting fires or driving over weeds and grasses. Our cars can ignite fires that way. Discarding of cigarette butts or anything else that's flammable, and just asking everybody to please take those extra precautions when they're out, and ensuring that we don't start any more of these fires.
The most powerful prevention tool against wildfires is information, and websites like Utah Fire Info and KSL News Radio's Fire Watch site have all the data you need to stay informed. Data like fire acreage and containment percentages are important, but what exactly does containment percentage mean?
With fire containment on a wildfire, when they talk about that percentage, they're giving a percentage of the perimeter of the fire that is completely out and also has a break line between where the fire was and where it could potentially go. Those break lines could be like a roadway, a body of water. It could be man-made, like a bulldozer that they've been able to get in and bulldoze a swath of land so there's no fuels for the fire to burn in that area. And then the hand crews, our hand crews are out there digging lines and creating those barriers as well. And a fire might appear to be fully out, and that's because they're still going through the process of mopping up, is kind of what we call it, and just ensuring that break is completely established before they will say that it's completely out or not.
Even in areas where you may not see any immediate danger, Bird says outdoor enthusiasts still need to exercise caution.
We're not the division that would close something, but if something has been closed and remains closed, whether that's the Forest Service or BLM individuals, then we're just going to invite everybody to continue to listen to that closure until it's opened up by the appropriate authorities. It's a bummer that we can't go and do the hikes or the other recreation that we want to do, but if something is declared closed, it's declared closed until it's further opened by one of the appropriate authorities.
Crews will work their hardest to make sure public lands can be reopened as soon as possible, but being thorough is how they make sure that fires that have been put out stay put out.
They're eliminating like 100% any potential for the fire to pick back up in that area. So, we don't want to put a statement out that the fire's out if they haven't completely gone through the entire perimeter of the fire and done that mop-up work, checking for temperatures, looking for hot spots that might be buried under some tree debris or something like that. And so they have to make sure that it's completely out that way.
Stay informed, stay safe, and help Utah fire crews by making their job a little easier. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
For more than 1,000 years, origami, the art of paper folding, has been a kind of emotional release. It can be quite calming. It can also have more practical applications too, as demonstrated in a new BYU study. In fact, even though it's been around since the 7th century, one engineering student at BYU has discovered a whole new style of origami shapes. Kelvin Wong's discovery not only provides another pattern, it may also have some consumer applications.
We're always looking for new origami patterns or patterns, from the origami community to do our engineering work. And here this very bright student, Kelvin Wong, had some ideas of some patterns, and they looked really good and very promising. And I'd not seen anything like it, which was, kind of exciting that, oh, hey, this can help us in our engineering, but it's also, appears to be a new class of origami. And then when we showed it to the origami experts, Robert Lang particularly, who's just a world-class, world-renowned origami artist and also a mathematician, and he confirmed that this was a new class that had new capabilities, and that was just as exciting to find, new things. And so we then went forward and classified all this so that you could, have the, the mathematical and engineering rigor behind it, but then also so you could extend it and see all its different forms that are possible.
Wong's mechanical engineering professor Larry Howell tells KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff this new origami model may be of use to NASA.
It has some amazing things that can be done with this pattern. So, for example, we have things that need to be compact in one state and then deploy out and be large. So the most common one that we're working on with NASA is devices that can be compact for launch, so to be in a rocket and stowed compactly. And then when it gets into space, then it deploys out and becomes large. And so, we've done like deployable solar panels. This could be an application there. Right now we're working with NASA on deployable space telescope, and this could have applications in that field as well as antennas and other deployable systems.
Professor Howell says there could also be some consumer applications in things like collapsible containers for multiple purposes, including backpacking.
So one of those is a very compact container. So this can be made out of a food-grade material, and then it can be very compact, really, really flat, but then fold out and to be either a big container that could hold fluid or just something that's beautiful that could also hold things. And so we've demonstrated it with holding fluids, and we've demonstrated making it out of PET, which is the same material you use to make water bottles, and also out of Tyvek and aluminum. And so once you're able to do it in these other materials, then you can also make other applications. So in addition to the containers and space applications, then we hope that as people see this and they'll say, hey, you know what, here's a place where, we can use that in our company and it could be new products that we haven't yet anticipated.
Professor Howell says discoveries by bright students is what makes his job worthwhile.
One of the rewarding things of being a professor is the opportunity to work with students that helps them develop and to learn to be good engineers and good scientists and also, good people. And also, in our work, in the engineering work, we've been getting, the origami patterns and other things from the origami community and being able to use those to do, really cool engineering. And when I ask people in the origami area, what can we do to give back, and the response is almost always the same. It's, we want more things to fold. And so here's a case where we've discovered, this pattern, so that is a whole class that will lead to really an infinite number of new kinds of, specific tessellations that could be folded.
He says it's just one small way they can give back to the origami community. Larry Howell is a professor of mechanical engineering at BYU. Kids back in school around the state now, but your pets left at home. We're going to chat about ways to keep your dogs from lashing out as their tiny humans are no longer home during the day. That's up next. But first, KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Ricky?
We've had an accident in Weber County, southbound I-15 near Riverdale Road. It's being cleared, but it was a tight squeeze, and we still have leftover delays. Also, some slowing in Twilla County due to an accident southbound Main Street SR 36 at about 10th North. One other problem, and this one also causing backups. This is a crash westbound I-80, not far from Redwood Road, and it had been blocking a left lane. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you need to replace your furnace or your AC, I want to make sure that you don't miss out on some rebates that are expiring. They're expiring by the end of the year. You could save as much as $7,000 right now. I didn't know that until I had a problem and I met with At Your Service Pros. There's a $2,600 federal tax credit, $1,500 manufacturer rebate, plus rebates from your utility companies. Now, At Your Service Pros, they came to my home. They gave me all the great information I needed. They gave me a great estimate, and they also told me about these rebates and helped make sure that I could take advantage of them, even filed the applications for the utility rebates. Right now, At Your Service Pros is also offering 15 months, no interest. They are a family-owned company that's still providing fair pricing for anything HVAC, plumbing, or electrical related. And they're a company that doesn't upsell you, and they want to make sure that you have the best possible information. That's why they have a YouTube channel. They are giving you a chance to win a free air conditioner on YouTube. Just search Healthy Water and Air and watch the AC giveaway video and leave a comment. Call At Your Service Pros today at 801-YOUR-PRO to get on their schedule, 801-YOUR-PRO.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result, Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Back to school not only creates a lot of stress for kids and families, it can also stress out our pets. Have you thought about that? Your pets go from having people around all day during the summer only to suddenly be left alone for hours and hours. It's kind of sad when you think about it. It means that if you want to prevent pet accidents or having your favorite slippers chewed up, you'll want to take some extra steps to acclimate your pet to the new schedule. Bet Shanath from Best Friends Animal Society tells me our pets need a routine just as much as our children.
The schedule changes, and so they get a little off schedule, just like kids do. You know, it's harder to get up in the morning. So they're like, wait, why is breakfast an hour earlier, or things like that? Or who's here? Nobody's home to play with me all day. Things like that change for the pets.
So how does that impact the health of a pet? I mean, we can see that pets get sad and moody just like people.
Yes, and so it's important for the people to maintain a positive attitude. Like, don't go out making it all a dramatic exit. If we can help our pets acclimate then to the changes, just like we help our children acclimate to the changes, then everybody comes out on top.
Okay. How do we make them stress less? How do we do that? How do we acclimate them?
We help with starting a new routine as soon as possible. Like, we could pretend to gather the keys and the backpacks and the lunches and then not leave, so that it's not always a trigger for them that, oh, this means that they're leaving me. But when we do leave, we can give them puzzles to do, like puzzle toys to challenge their brains while we're gone. We can tire them out with a longer walk before we even leave to begin with. Engage cats with toys, play with them a lot before it's time to go. So they know that they've had some attention and they're a little worn out, and then give them a place to stay that's comfortable for them while we're gone. It might be their crate, it might be a couch, it might be an entire room that's their room, or their pillow bed on the floor, whatever. With a treat, we can give them something to do, work on. Like, dogs might want a puzzle toy with treats in it, to keep their minds engaged for a minute. Most of the time, though, pets will just sleep during the day while we're gone.
What happens if we don't do some of these things? What are some of the things that people might be seeing now that school started and they're going, what's going on with my animal?
There might be some anxiety there. There might be some destructive behaviors like chewing shoes or jumping on the furniture where they hadn't done that before, things like that. And so it's important to just be aware of what's happening with your pet. Talk to your vet. They might be able to give you some calming medications that would help to kind of lessen the stress level while you're away.
Right. That's something I hadn't thought of, some calming medications. How about music?
Yeah, some people will leave the television on, the pet channel or something, and relaxing music. The beats, different tones of music tend to promote different feelings in humans as well as animals. So pick one that your animal is going to maybe help them relax more than want them to get up and party.
Right. Beth, anything else we can do to maybe help them feel more safe?
Love, just again, making sure that they know that you are there for them at every chance, and something like snuggles. Maybe there's something that smells like you, a blanket or something to snuggle them in while we're gone.
Do you see more people putting their pets up for adoption when their kids go back to school?
It does change the whole dynamics of the home, and I have seen that. A lot of people say we don't have time to devote to the pet anymore. Oh. So it's important to change the schedule so that the pet needs can still be met by making an extra 15 minutes in the morning for the longer walk, or in the afternoon when you get home, making sure that there's time set aside. Kids get super busy with all the extracurricular activities, and we need to make our pets one of those activities whenever we can.
Best Friends Animal Society has a fun event tomorrow. It's a back-to-school photo shoot for your pets. It's at the Life Saving Center in Sugar House from noon to 4. As part of that event, they're also collecting school supplies for the road home. So bring some pencils or whatever you can manage to bring, and they will appreciate that for the road home. And Shanath says all adoption fees are also being covered by a company from August 22nd to 26th if you would like to adopt a pet.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
A well-known Salt Lake violinist who studied and built his career here in Utah, now in federal detention.
A number of times with a number of ensembles over the years, and he's just extremely talented and deeply involved in the music community as a whole in Utah.
The time is 2 o'clock on Friday, August 22nd. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, what his friends and family are saying today as they work to get answers as to why this husband, stepfather, and accomplished musician was detained by ICE. Also this hour.
So it diverts those local resources that are typically used to control those local communities.
Another sheriff's office in Utah entering into an agreement with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. We'll go in depth on what that agreement means for Utah public safety. But first, our top stories. The man accused of murdering 2 Tremonton police officers appeared before a judge this morning.
Mr. Bate, are you seeking to be appointed counsel to represent you in these cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ryan Michael Bate is facing 20 charges, including 2 counts of aggravated murder. Today he was appointed 2 attorneys qualified to handle a capital case since prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. Bate was seen on camera crying and struggling to speak during today's hearing. He's expected to make his next court appearance on October 30th. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Justice Department has posted the full audio and transcript of Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's interview last month with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted of sex trafficking.
From sources familiar with the matter, we have confirmed that in that interview, Ghislaine Maxwell did not provide any information that would have implicated any potential top clients of Jeffrey Epstein or associates of any criminal conduct. Now, remember, the reason that Todd Blanche gave for arranging this meeting is because he said that the DOJ's internal files did not have any information in them that would lead the Justice Department to open any criminal investigations into somebody that has not yet been charged.
ABC's Alex Mallon. At least 4 people were killed in a tour bus crash in upstate New York. Here's State Trooper James O'Callahan.
It is a tour bus coming out of Niagara Falls back to what we believe New York City, and it had about 50-plus passengers on that, women, children, also.
Police say the bus lost control, leading to shattered windows and passengers being ejected. The driver survived. Other national stories KSL is following. Mississippi has declared a public health emergency over infant mortality rates.
A new report showing there are nearly 10 deaths for every 1,000 live births in the state of Mississippi, nearly double the national average. Some of the deaths are from preterm birth, congenital conditions, or sudden infant death syndrome. However, says ABC medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton, some deaths are preventable.
Many mothers in Mississippi are not able to get the care that they need, as Mississippi has over 50% counties of maternal care deserts.
Those deserts, counties without an OB provider or birthing center. Mississippi says it's working on filling the gaps. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Your money at this moment at the close. The Dow up by 846 points, nearly 2%, sitting at 45,631. S&P up by 97 points. The Nasdaq up by 396 points. Traffic and weather is brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
A crash westbound I-80 approaching Redwood Road is blocking a left lane and shoulder. It is causing delays, but not just on the main flow of the freeway, on the ramp transitioning from I-15 to go westbound on I-80 right in the heart of the Salt Lake City area. A lot of people are trying to get by in that left lane. Remember, it's blocked. You've got to get over to the right in order to get around it. UDOT construction alert. Plan ahead as I-15 will be closed in both directions at 4400 South in Riverdale this Saturday night for bridge demolition. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
About a 30% chance of showers through the weekend, increasing to a 60% chance by the first of next week. And next week looks pretty rainy. Today's high 93. We've reached that now, 93 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet Store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet Store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A well-known Salt Lake violinist who studied and built his career here in Utah is now in federal detention. His friends say they are stunned and heartbroken, and they've started gathering to play music in his honor. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera joins us with this story. And Eric, tell us what's happening.
So, Maria, he's a musician by the name of John Shin. He's originally from South Korea, but has been here for years. He earned both his bachelor's and master's degrees at the University of Utah and has played violin with groups like the Utah Symphony, Ballet West, and several local ensembles. He's also a children's violin teacher. Earlier this week, ICE detained him and moved him to a facility in Colorado. His wife, who is a U.S. citizen, says she only had 30 seconds on the phone with him before the call was cut short. And since then, friends have been stepping up to share who John is. One of those friends is Nicole Fulmer. She told me she's known John for more than 15 years, and the way she found out about his detention really stuck with her.
He and I went to college together at the University of Utah way back, like 15 plus years. So I've known him for a long time. He was always a fantastic violinist, just a beautiful person, just so kind and funny, and someone who was there for people and very kind. I've performed with him a number of times with a number of ensembles over the years, and he's just extremely talented, and he is very deeply involved in the music community as a whole in Utah. I stopped immediately what I was doing and I just cried, like I couldn't believe it. And then I reached out to Danae because I have known Danae for as long as John, and just gave her all my sympathies and offered any help that I could.
Eric, what else are you hearing from those close to him?
Yeah, so Nicole's husband, Jason, says they've been close with John and his wife, Danae, for years, and asked him to describe his emotions when he found out.
Rage. My first emotion was anger, and my second was sorrow, and they have been fighting for first place. Like Nicole said, we've known them both for a long time. We were at their wedding. We were there the night they got together as a couple. So, it's been just a journey. I remember talking with John about the dating scene in Utah and what it's like to step into the role as a stepfather, because I did the same thing. He's a man who cares so much and has contributed so much.
It sounds like the community just isn't just shocked, they're also rallying.
Exactly. A group of musicians has started daily gatherings at the Utah Capitol. They're calling it Bach for John. Playing music as a way to show to support him, for him and his family. And his friends say the goal is simple, to get him home. Now, to be clear, it's still uncertain what John's immigration status is or why ICE detained him. KSL wasn't able to find any criminal records by public record search, and Danae has been vocal on social media, sharing updates and asking for help, and she's told me in DMs she'll talk with us once she's spoken with their new attorney. ICE, for their part, hasn't responded to our requests for comment.
All right. Thank you, Eric. That is KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. A 9th Utah Sheriff's Office has now entered into a contractual agreement with ICE. Wasatch County, the latest in a growing number of law enforcement agencies, signing agreements that authorize them to perform limited immigration enforcement functions. The move is alarming to human rights advocates like the ACLU. Legal fellow at the ACLU of Utah, Molly Karasik, tells me that these agreements harm not only public trust, but safety as well.
These agreements are a means for the Trump administration to pursue their mass deportation agenda. It gives state and local law enforcement agencies the opportunity to work hand in glove with ICE, which gives off the overall impression to the community that they cannot trust their state and local law enforcement officers. When they are mingled with ICE, it just completely undermines the public trust in those agencies. It deters individuals from reporting crimes because they are scared they'll be deported, detained, separated from their families. And this doesn't just harm that individual, it harms public safety for everyone. When one individual is scared to report a crime because they think their local agency is working hand in glove with ICE, this harms the entire community and the public safety for everybody.
Molly, what have we seen from these agreements with other sheriff's departments? Do we have some really concrete evidence of what you're talking about?
Yeah, so we're part of the Utah Immigration Advocacy Coalition, and we work with a lot of nonprofit organizations in the state. And I guess, specifically, we have spoke to nonprofits that work with domestic violence victims, and they have told us that individuals are scared to reach out and report domestic violence because they don't want to be separated from their families. I can't go into too much detail, but I think that's a good concrete example of, how these agreements are really affecting individuals in our communities who are, their lives are at risk.
Right. It sounds like it's not just impacting them, but you were talking about society as a whole. Maybe for a minute, be just a little bit more specific about how the rest of us are impacted who may not have any direct connection with someone who might be deported.
Entering into the agreements also, it diverts those local resources that are typically used to control those local communities. It diverts those resources and puts those officers, it diverts those resources to ICE activity, essentially. It takes away from the local agency's other priorities, and it tasks them with doing ICE's job. And, I can't go into the specifics about what exactly they won't be doing and where they'll be doing ICE's job instead. But the bottom line is it's diverting local resources, and it's adding additional tasks to their already extremely busy agencies, and it's having them perform ICE's job instead of protecting the local communities.
Right. You mentioned how the fear that is raised among those who may be deported, but does this also raise questions, concerns by society in general about their police force and whether they should trust them?
Yeah, I think just, when an agency enters into an agreement with ICE, I've sort of touched on this, but it just gives off the impression that that local agency is working with federal law enforcement. And, people trust their state and local law enforcement communities, but people do not trust ICE. From what we've seen, ICE is violating constitutional rights of people every single day. And when an agency agrees to cooperate or to work with ICE and enter into a 287G agreement, it gives off the impression that they are working hand in glove with this agency that we see every single day violating people's rights. And I think that just gives people the impression that that's what that state and local agency is going to be doing.
Do you think the community as a whole has an understanding of what these agreements mean?
I don't think so, and I think that is part of the problem is that, it just the overall impression that a local agency gives when they decide to work with ICE, it gives this it's sort of like it's a blanket statement. You see that they're working with ICE, and the average person doesn't necessarily know what that means. You think it's unlimited, and these agreements don't give the local agency unlimited federal immigration enforcement power, and I don't think people know that. That being said, that doesn't mitigate the dangers and the public harm that these agreements cause, but I think it is important for people to keep track of what agencies are entering into agreements. Do your research on the specific types of agreements and what that actually means. We have a lot of resources on our website. ICE or there's also just a ton of other immigration-related resources, but I think just knowing and doing your research and understanding what they mean can help. And again, just want to reiterate, not trying to mitigate the overall harm.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Not really. I just think overall the main point is just that these agreements severely undermine the public's trust in state and local law enforcement. And when one person, whether they're an immigrant or not, are afraid to contact the police because of anything or, a domestic violence charge, that does not just harm that individual, that harms the entire community, and it harms the public safety for everybody, not just that one individual.
Molly Karasik is a legal fellow at the ACLU of Utah. The Utah Fits All Scholarship Program now entering its second year of service. How the program is growing, even as a lawsuit plays out, coming up next. But first, KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Ricky?
The crash that we had westbound on I-80 approaching Redwood Road has been moved out of traffic. All lanes are open. There is some residual delay in the area, but we're starting to see traffic move again and some improvements going from I-15 on the transition ramp to westbound I-80. Get tickets for Sharing Aloha, the movie. See the trailer. Enter to win a Hawaiian getaway from Hawaiian Air and Marriott Courtyard, Oahu. 45 plus entries per person possible. SharingAlohaTheMovie.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Some things never change. Sure, we've expanded Inside Sources to 3 hours on KSL, and it's on 9 to noon. But the news, traffic reports, and weather updates that have been a part of your ride in the car since before you can remember, always there. And that will never change. Find us in your car at 102.7 FM.
Everybody knows that exterior remodeling salespeople are all about the high-pressure sell. Am I right? Windows, siding, gutters, those suckers are going to twist your arm and get you to buy, or they won't leave your house at night. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I want you to know we don't have high-pressure sells. In fact, we don't even have salespeople. Nope, we have estimators. That's a huge difference. Estimators are trained to look at the entire scope of the project, to see and know if there are any problems, like rotten wood, wood-borne insects, or construction issues specific to your house or your neighbors. Salespeople are more concerned about playing those silly price games. Buy one, get one free, sign today and get 40% off, as if they didn't just jack the price up to give you a fake discount. RGS Exteriors estimators are going to give you a great quote. No games, no tricks, no nonsense. Call RGS Exteriors to quote your exterior project. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. As the school year gets underway, the Utah Fits All Scholarship Program enters its second year of providing funds for alternative schooling. Executive Director Robin Bagley tells KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi that this year they're able to fund 40% more scholarships than last year.
It's needed because not a singular solution fits every child. So a child's education needs are very individual. And while many families choose public school and they thrive and are happy there are children that need different options, or families that would like different options that fit their values or their expectations, and again, the needs of the child. And this gives them the opportunity to find something that works best for their child.
During the first year of the program, there was quite a bit of controversy over the way the funds were used. State lawmakers added additional guidelines and guardrails during the last legislative session to help quell those concerns. Bagley says the money is being used in a number of different ways.
They are able to purchase items from qualifying expenses allowed in the law to educate their child, and that would be things like electronic items, a laptop or an iPad or curriculum, education supplemental items, paper, pens, those types of things, experiences related to education that fall into the core subjects like music and art. They are able to use it on extracurricular and physical education things, but those items are capped, and they can buy that throughout the year. So they have the full year to spend their scholarship as needed for the items needed. No, most families are going to buy a lot of that up front, like the technology and the curriculum and those types of things, but some of the experiences might come across the year.
Some parents and educators hailed the programs like these as a new age of education, but others view it as opposition to a traditionally functional learning structure.
I think that there are educators out there that support it. I mean, one interesting caveat is that an LEA, which is a charter or a district, they can participate in this program. They can become a provider. And last year, quite a few did, and we've got many of the same ones doing that again this year. And then there is the camp that is opposed to that. Mainly the teachers union rallies that kind of support against these programs. And as you know, or may not know, there's a lawsuit right now with the against the program that is making its way to the Utah Supreme Court that was brought by the teachers union.
According to Bagley, however, they've found overwhelming support as well.
There have been some polls done, and the majority of Utahns support school choice. And it's in the 60-something percent. I don't have those numbers in front of me. When polled, say that they support a child's ability to have school choice or education choice. So it's growing in popularity across the nation. That's the trend. As you poll states across the nation, there's very much an upswing and an uptrend in support for education choice. Not to mention that more and more families are selecting alternative options, especially the homeschool population has exploded across the entire country and including in Utah.
Bagley says it's not just an urban thing either. Rural communities around the state tend to be quite supportive of the program.
So we do have recipients in almost every zip code. And when you talk about rural families, they will tend to be homeschooling. And they have plenty, in today's world, they have plenty of resources at their fingertips to purchase and help them with homeschooling. And also microschools are a new phenomenon. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but those are springing up faster than any other option out there. And those are happening in small communities too, because a microschool could be 10 kids, 20 kids, 70 kids. And so we're seeing those in the rural areas as well. Not to mention we're seeing many of those in the urban areas too.
The program continues to move forward while a lawsuit from the state's teachers union plays out before the Utah Supreme Court. Let's turn now to some space news.
Starships were meant to fly, hands up and touch the sky.
Starships meant to fly? Rapper Nicki Minaj thinks so. Well, the SpaceX Starship is trying to fly. It's just faced some challenges. ABC's Stephen Portnoy previews SpaceX's 10th test this weekend on this episode of the Start Here podcast.
One of history's great philosophers was once quoted as saying, "Starships were meant to fly." But the starships built by SpaceX have had difficulty getting higher than a... You see, they've exploded multiple times.
SpaceX confirmed one of its starships exploded.
The SpaceX explosion overnight.
A routine pre-flight test of SpaceX Ship 36 ending in disaster.
This weekend, the spacecraft is set for its 10th test launch. So why does it keep exploding? Let's begin with the basics. Starship is designed to be a fully reusable vehicle that Elon Musk hopes will one day take humans to Mars and beyond.
He, in May, did a speech called The Road to Making Life Multiplanetary.
Yes, multiplanetary life is Musk's ultimate goal. Matthew Glasser covers space for ABC News.
Really, his grand vision is figuring out how to create this self-sustaining civilization on Mars and eventually, he says, on other planets, which he truly thinks is a way to keep humans from ever going extinct.
Musk talked about this in a speech he posted on X.
Mars can potentially come to the rescue of Earth if something goes wrong, or maybe Earth could come to the rescue of Mars.
Starship is a system made up of 2 stages. First, there's the Super Heavy booster. That's the rocket that gets the ship into orbit. And Matthew says this booster is where SpaceX has really been successful. They've been able to catch it twice with those giant robotic chopsticks that you see attached to the launch tower.
You can see how fast this vehicle is moving on the left-hand screen.
The chopsticks have been a big win for Musk's team, but the Starship vehicle itself is what's had trouble. It's exploded the last 3 launches.
The Starship is where they would have the payloads. It's where eventually astronauts would go. So far, it hasn't gotten to the point where we've seen it return to Earth. They've lost it the last 3 times while it was still in suborbit.
But with that test launch set for Sunday, some critics wonder whether this out-of-this-world concept is too far out there.
I recently spoke with a professor at MIT, Olivier DeWick, and his thought is that they're being extremely ambitious to the point of borderline utopian.
First, there's the approach SpaceX is taking. They call it agile engineering, and Musk spoke about it in his speech.
Each launch is about learning more and more about what's needed to make life multiplanetary.
The thought is that with every launch, SpaceX can make adjustments along the way and then quickly try again.
What they've seemed to be coming across is when they fix one thing, they then stumble across 2 or 3 things that are broken.
With the company's fast-paced schedule and launches sometimes just months apart, quick fixes can lead to new problems. Matthews' critics have told him it's sort of like whack-a-mole.
We whack one, but then 2 or 3 pop up. And the question remains is, do they have the engineering prowess to work out these issues? And how much is it going to cost them to get there?
It sure could be expensive. Musk is already laying the groundwork for production facilities in Texas and Florida that he hopes will produce as many as 2 to 3 Starships a day. And then there's the design itself.
If you look at the Starship and you compare it to their other system, their workhorse, the Dragon and the Falcon 9, those are rock solid.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40.
Those are taking astronauts to and from the International Space Station on a regular basis. They're doing cargo missions. They're putting up satellites. Those are based on very conventional rocket designs. Those are much more traditional approaches to engineering. And those work. The Starship is a very radical design.
Radical in design, radical in concept. Remember, Musk hopes to use these vehicles to see humans traveling all the way to Mars and back, and maybe even to establish colonies on other planets. Even his critics share this vision. It just may be a question of how to get there.
And I think within the engineering community, there's concern that this is a design that's just not feasible in 2025, and that no matter how many launches you do, no matter how many tweaks you make, you're never going to solve all of the problems.
The next launch is set for Sunday night. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The man accused of killing 2 police officers in Tremont and appearing in court for the first time today, dressed in an orange jumpsuit, crying through each answer to the judge. The market's reacting strongly to a single comment from the Fed chair that he's open to lowering interest rates. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Slowdowns northbound on I-15 approaching 24th Street, Ogden. And I'm not sure why, but it is causing some backups. Maria?
KSL's top local stories in 1 minute, but first, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The Justice Department has released the transcripts and audio recordings of talks with Ghislaine Maxwell.
I'm Ghislaine Maxwell.
The recordings have the convicted sex trafficker insisting to the Deputy Attorney General that she knows of no catalog of Jeffrey Epstein's clients.
There is no list.
Maxwell also told Todd Blanche she knows of no blackmail scheme or of any abuse of teenage girls by any of Epstein's high-profile associates. She had this to say about President Trump.
In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
Following this interview, for which she was granted limited immunity, Maxwell was moved from a low-security prison in Florida to a minimum-security prison camp in Texas. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Hurricane Erin pushing further away from the U.S. and weakening in the Atlantic. Surge and riptide alerts still a concern along the East Coast. And stocks rallied today after Fed Chair Jerome Powell hinted in a speech that interest rates cuts could be coming. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. The brother of a man executed on Utah's death row is speaking out against the firing squad ahead of the state's scheduled execution of Ralph Menzies next month. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Ronnie Lee Gardner was executed by a firing squad in Utah back in 2010. His brother, Randy Gardner, says according to photos from the Office of the Medical Examiner, Ronnie's death wasn't swift. It was brutal.
I feel like I'm mourning all over again, and maybe they did do that purposely and hit his lungs and his heart to make him suffer. He was loved by some and hated by many.
The photos were looked over by a former medical director of a pediatric trauma program, Dr. Jonathan Groner, at a meeting with Death Penalty Action and Utahns Against the Death Penalty.
2 bullets are way, way, way outside where the heart would be, and 2 of them are quite low.
Groner says the autopsy report also listed injuries that would indicate the shots were not fired in the correct place. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
A man from Utah was booked in jail in Florida, accused of taking part in a jewelry heist. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Jean Vasquez from West Jordan has been booked in jail in Miami-Dade County, and ABC affiliate WSVN says Vasquez is one of 3 men accused of going to a home of a jewelry store owner. This was back in March. They held him and his family at gunpoint for hours. Then they ransacked his house for anything valuable. At that point, they then drove off in the family's Cadillac.
Investigators say Vasquez returned to Utah shortly after the robbery, but police used cell phone data and surveillance video to link him to the crime. Utah water managers say Utahns need to cut down on water usage amidst a worrying downward trend.
Just really think about where you're using water. Don't get into this routine or just do it automatically. Think about every time you're using water, is this needed? Is this a smart way to use water?
That was Laura Haskell, engineer with Utah Division of Water Resources, pleading with residents to be mindful with their water usage. This request to Utah residents comes as water levels take a dive from where they were this time last year. In total, reservoir levels are about 20% lower than August of 2024. Taking a look at your money at this moment, markets rallied today on word that the Federal Reserve is considering an interest rate cut. The Dow up by 846 points, sitting at 45,631 at the close. S&P 500 up by 97, and the NASDAQ up by 396 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account, and here's Ricky Meese.
Traffic really slowing down northbound I-15 in Weber County. Can't really see what's happening, but the delays will start just a little bit before 21st Street in Ogden. And we do have backups past 31st Street, Ogden. And then in Salt Lake County, already getting busy and a little slow, southbound I-15, Murray to Midvale. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cypress Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypresscu.com today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Some much-needed rain in the forecast for the next 7 days. A 30% chance over the next few days, but next week, a greater chance, 60% for the beginning of the week. Today's high, 93. We've reached that 93 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, he saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. The things that Closets by Design can do, and it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The man accused of murdering 2 Tremonton police officers appeared before a judge today. His first appearance since his arrest on Sunday night following the deadly shooting of those officers. Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. In the line of duty, we have special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Are you Ryan Michael Bate?
Yes, Your Honor. Ryan Michael Bate made his initial appearance in the case and did so virtually from the Weber County Jail, where he's currently being held without bail. Bate, wearing an orange jumpsuit, could be seen crying on camera throughout the hearing, struggling to keep his head or eyes up, as Judge Spencer Walsh read off the 20 charges he's facing, including
aggravated murder, a capital offense in violation of Utah Code, annotated 76-5-202. Count 3, aggravated murder, a capital offense.
Bate only spoke 3 times in the 20 or so minutes this hearing lasted, battling through tears each time.
Mr. Bate, are you seeking to be appointed counsel to represent you in these cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're currently in custody, and so you're not able to work. Do you have any assets or property that you could access to be able to retain counsel?
No, Your Honor. Bate was appointed 2 attorneys qualified to handle a death penalty case in Utah, as prosecutors have already made it known that's what they're seeking in this case. The judge also read additional charges against him, including aggravated assault and domestic violence in the presence of a child. Those charges stem from an incident last year, but were dropped after the victim chose not to testify. Prosecutors refiled them after he was arrested, and they're also requesting a protective order against Bate. He's scheduled to make his next court appearance on October 30th. Adam Small, KSL News Radio. We are learning more about the memorial and funeral service plans for the 2 Tremont and Garland police officers that were killed in the line of duty. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has details.
A public viewing for Officer Eric Estrada and Sergeant Lee Sorensen will be held at the Bear River High School in Tremonton this upcoming Wednesday, the 27th, from 3 to 7 p.m. Following that, both funerals will be held in Logan at the USU Spectrum, but a day apart. Officer Estrada's funeral will be on Thursday, the 28th, starting at 10 a.m., and Sergeant Sorensen's will be held Friday, also at 10 a.m. Each officer will have a private burial. Organizers are asking for everyone planning to attend the funerals to arrive early and be seated by that 10 a.m. start time. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Radio will carry both of those funeral services in full on air and online at kslnewsradio.com. Utahns from all over the state doing what they can to support the Sorensen and Estrada families in their darkest hours of need. KSL 5 TV's Mike Anderson stopped by Cafe Sabar yesterday, where crowds of people had come out for a special fundraiser to support the families of the fallen police officers.
They expected support here at Cafe Sabar, but I think that they're getting unexpectedly slammed at virtually all of the locations, they say, down in Layton, southern Utah, here and in Bear Lake, and it shows just how much people want to help these families.
How are you doing, sir?
Whether you had the plans or not, you can show up giving support to two families suffering a huge loss.
Yeah, we were planning on going out today, so it was like perfect because we're like, oh, we could come here and be part of this as well.
Jessica Jenkins and her friends are doing it.
Okay. Casey? For 4? Perfect.
As were many others during the lunch hour today, keeping owner Justin Hamilton very busy.
Yeah, we are surprised. And I think all of our locations are in the same. I've had some texts from the other locations as well that even people that don't live in Tremonton or Logan are still been impacted by this and want to give back.
The idea is simple. You show up and order the local special, a burrito and drink.
We want these families to know how much we care about them, and this is something just we can do to make an impact and help give them the love and support that they need at this time.
Hamilton says 100% of those orders at all 5 Utah locations will be passed on to help the families of Sergeant Lee Sorensen and Officer Eric Estrada.
We definitely feel for the families, yeah. It's hard. They've been in our prayers.
There are plenty of people here who have never met those officers or their families, but they are grateful for their service.
And it's whatever we can do to help them, and the families can't even imagine the tragic loss.
A bit of your time and money and a night out. A small way to offer some important help to the families of 2 men who gave everything.
It's kind of heartwarming to know that so many people care within this valley and we're supportive of each other.
The fundraiser is now over, but there are several other fundraisers underway, including one from the Fraternal Order of Police. You can find that information at kslnewsradio.com. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Turning to some national news now, a dramatic reaction from investors after a speech by the Fed chair in which he said the Fed is now open to cutting interest rates. While Fed Chair Jerome Powell didn't announce a rate cut, just the hint of a change in Fed policy has caused the markets to rally. Senior economist for Zions Bank, Robert Spenlove, tells me why the markets got so excited about just a hint of a rate cut.
What we're seeing is a change in Fed policy, and it's kind of a change in market expectations about what the Fed is going to be doing. So, the Fed started dropping interest rates September of last year, but then going into 2025, the Fed stopped. They hit pause on their rate cuts, and they've really been kind of digging in their heels for the past 9 months about cutting rates. And so what was really remarkable today was the Fed now is reversing that, and they're saying they're going to start back in, or at least they're hinting that they're willing to start cutting rates again in September.
Yeah, help us understand this, because the next rate cut would only be like 0.25%. So why do the markets react so dramatically to this kind of news?
Yeah, and it could be any amount. If you go back to last September, the Fed actually did cut 0.5% or 50 basis points. But what the markets really care about is they care about that direction. And they care that there was uncertainty whether the Fed was actually going to start cutting rates. And now Jerome Powell opened the door to more rate cuts. So that's really what the markets are reacting to. It's not actually that 0.25 point, or even if it's a larger half point, it's really that the Fed is sending the signal that they're going to start reducing rates again.
So for folks who've been waiting quite some time to actually maybe refinance a mortgage or something like that, I mean, should they have been waiting all this time? I mean, is it a good thought to just keep waiting a couple months?
Well, rates have been very high. And it has, if you think about Fed interest rates, the Fed is essentially, it's like they're driving a car and they're either hitting the gas or hitting the brakes. And the Fed has really been hitting the brakes hard on the economy for the past 3 years. And so it's caused interest rates to be higher, borrowing costs to be higher. So now that the Fed is starting to lay off on that, now they're not hitting the gas. They're just letting their foot off the brake a little bit. And so the signal is it might be a good time to get back into housing markets or into borrowing for a business or getting a credit card. And by the way, we have seen just today, we've seen some of those longer-term interest rates drop in response to the Fed, where the 10-year interest rate has dropped about 10 basis points.
How does that work? I mean, they haven't even taken any action yet.
They're pricing in the expectation that the Fed is going to drop rates. So this is often what you see with markets, where there's a famous saying, you buy on the rumor and sell on the news. So what you're seeing today is markets are buying on the rumor, or they're moving on the rumor that the Fed is going to start cutting rates.
Talk about how much of a difference a cut like this makes. Say they did actually cut by 0.5%. How much of a difference does that really make for folks?
A lot of that is it's that mental impact that we're seeing. Mortgage rates for so long, really since the 1980s, mortgage rates have been trending down, and people got used to that. And we bottomed out with mortgage rates in the 3% level. But then for the last 3 years, with the Fed reversing those rates, we've seen 30-year mortgage rates pop up to around 6.5% to 7%. And as I talk to people in the real estate or mortgage industry or housing industry, they talk about this kind of mental block that you get once mortgage rates go up about 6.5%. So if we can get those closer to around 6% or in the 5% range, it really kind of changes people's feeling about whether it's a good time to buy a new house.
Any final thoughts for us?
No, just one other kind of interesting tidbit that came out of this meeting was the Chairman Powell talked about how for the last 5 years, the Fed has actually been leaning towards encouraging higher inflation. That was their model. Their model was to encourage higher inflation because before 5 years ago, before the pandemic, they were more concerned about low inflation than high inflation, and they've reversed that model as well. That model really was kind of a troubling model. It's the reason the Fed took so long and let inflation get away coming out of the pandemic. And so that was one of those kind of a little more hidden parts of Chairman Powell's speech, but it's having a big impact on markets as well.
That is senior economist for Zions Bank, Robert Spendlove. Markets did rally. The Dow and NASDAQ both ending up nearly 2%. The S&P 500 up by 1.5%. Parents, have you started using AI in your day-to-day life? If so, you are part of a growing trend. More on that story next, but first it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Ricky?
A KSL texter letting us know that it was a disabled vehicle in the far left lane of traffic, causing the slowing on northbound I-15 just after 24th Street. We still have heavy and slow traffic northbound I-15 from Clearfield to 31st Street in Ogden, and southbound I-15 slowing down and filling in 53rd to 72nd. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah, there's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water. But you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Regardless of how old your air conditioner is, there are a few things you can do to help it last as many summers as possible. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and like so many things in our life, it's easy to take our air conditioner for granted. If you keep a clean filter, rinse the outdoor unit off every once in a while, and have it serviced once a summer, you can reduce your risk of unexpected breakdowns. But eventually it will break down, and if someone tells you that your only option is to replace it, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. You could save thousands of dollars repairing it instead of replacing it. Any Hour rarely comes across an air conditioner that just can't be repaired. That doesn't mean you won't choose to replace it anyway, but being told you don't have options, that's not cool. So if you want honest answers and straightforward options, give Any Hour Services a call. And remember, every week this summer, Any Hour Services is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer as part of our Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary. You can see official rules or schedule your service at anyhour.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Visit the contest page on KSLNewsRadio.com. This week, win tickets to the new movie, Sharing Aloha, the backstage look at the people behind Hawaii's #1 attraction, the Polynesian Cultural Center, in theaters August 29th. Or win tickets to Lagoon. Lagoon, it's what fun is. Plus, win free tickets to an upcoming
Monroe Canyon is burned now.
What are you waiting for? Enter now. Text the word contest to 57500 or go to KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
The Salt Lake Chamber is Utah's voice for business. Okay, that sounds great, but what does it really mean? Well, as Utah's largest and longest-standing business association, they support and champion community prosperity throughout the state. And if you're in business, well, that's a very good thing for you. Be sure to listen to the Chamber's Speaking on Business, weekdays at 7:20, 11:55, and 5:20 p.m. on KSL News Radio.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We might think of AI as a tool at work or school, but people have started to use it as a way to ease the heavy load of parenting. Parenting expert and GMA e-commerce editor Bethany Braun Silva says AI can help burned out parents manage day-to-day tasks.
You know, it's no secret that parenting is more challenging than ever. Parents are more burnt out than ever. So a lot of parents are finding relief in AI as like a co-pilot or a co-parent, if you will, to help offset some of the mental load of parenting. For organizational tasks like meal planning, chore charts, even, transitioning to back to school time, but also that creative fun part of parenting that a lot of parents haven't been able to lean into because they're so burnt out. Using it for bedtime stories, boredom busters, creative summer activities. These are really great ways that AI can support your parenting in a really meaningful and engaging way.
And aside from tasks, people are also looking to AI for some mental health relief, treating AI as a sounding board after a long day.
I actually spoke to a parent who used Claude to create an app to help her sort of, offload and talk in a judgment-free way to, talk about like venting. She used it as a mental wellness tool. And a lot of parents need that. We need that more than ever.
But adding AI to your parenting game isn't without its risks. Bron Silva says you have to use the same type of tech safety protocols that you would otherwise use.
You need to avoid putting personal information like your child's full name, any sort of medical ailments or conditions, of course, your address and location you do not want to put into these platforms. You can turn the history off. That will affect some of the personalization that comes with using generative AI, but it also helps protect your data from, being, used or in a way that you might not appreciate. So you really do want to treat AI like you would with any other app, any other social media, set some boundaries in place, and I'll just leave you with this, Ike. AI is there to support your parenting, not to replace it.
Bron Silva says one of the most helpful ways that she's seen people use AI for parenting is asking AI what to cook for dinner based on what food they already have in the fridge. She also says AI can help you make chore charts for your kids. It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time to talk to Cool Stuff in Utah with the Arrow's John Smith. Last week, John told us about his latest YouTube video on Cedar City and the Shakespeare Festival. This week, he's got another look.
It's very rare that we get to do a two-part episode for Cool Stuff in Utah, but you can find these on YouTube. So we did one. The first video was on Cedar City Main Street, and we talked about Bullock's Drug, and we talked about
jelly beans,
the Rock Church that's down there. But we spent a whole episode talking about the Shakespeare Festival, which is going on now at SUU. Started way back in 1961 by a guy named Fred Adams and his merry band of thespians. And it basically started with people just doing Shakespeare in the park, literally, just pulling up some grass and performing plays. And it is now something that hundreds of thousands of people flock to every year. It's one of the biggest, if not the absolute biggest Shakespeare festival in the entire world.
Definitely worth the drive.
Oh, my gosh.
Let me
absolutely.
just say
that. And the passion and pride that the people take into not just the performances, but the facilities and the logistics and the costumes and the overall experience for people that go down there, it's unmatched.
You'll
it is
truly
so,
be
so
immersed
cool.
in the experience. I mean, just do the courtyard thing before.
Oh, totally. And you will get a sliver of that on YouTube. So just a taste.
Just a taste of that?
Just a taste.
You're going to show us some thespians and have some wonderful Shakespeare readings?
Yes. Actually,
now, you're not doing
rehearsed.
some Shakespeare stuff, are you?
I did some Shakespeare. I'm not going to tell you which one or which part. You'll have to go watch the video. But I actually got locked in an old, in one of the old stages. I was kind of up snooping around in one of the areas above the stage, and I got trapped and I got locked in there for like an hour. So that's in the video, and I'll even show you the tunnels, the secret tunnels that go underneath the stage and underneath the courtyard that allow the actors to get from the dressing rooms to the stage without being seen by the audience.
And that is cool stuff in Utah that you can't see anywhere else. They're not going to let me go on. Well, maybe if I really begged, they might
if you're
let
nice,
me
they let you
go underneath. But
as
most
far as
people
I know,
can't do
this
that.
is the only recorded video of the tunnels underneath the Globe Theater. So
okay, cool stuff in Utah on YouTube.
There you go. You got it.
Okay, and then plus every week at this time, you tell me all the cool stuff that's happening for the weekend that other people can get involved in.
You know what drives me crazy?
What
Maria
drives you
Shilaos,
crazy?
is when people say there's nothing to do in Utah.
Well, that's kind of a young person thing. I've found plenty of things to do.
There's so much to do.
I mean, just
in
go
addition
to the concert series that different communities hold, right?
Exactly.
And this might be the last weekend for some of those.
You've got Red Butte going on.
Last
John
weekend I
Baptiste.
did that. It was so lovely.
Oktoberfest going on right now up at Snowbird. Alabama Shakes is tonight at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. You've got Real Salt Lake taking on Minnesota at America First Field. There is so much to do, and I do have. If you're a history nerd like me, there's this dude that does rooftop tours. If you look him up on Facebook or on the Google, look up Rooftop Tours Salt Lake City. He does rooftop tours of the Walker Bank Building, and he'll go up and he'll show you all of the secrets and the hidden history of the Walker Bank Building, which dates back to 1910.
The weather vane atop the Walker Center. Cool history there. It's forecast colors, too. John Smith from our sister station, The Arrow, joining me on Fridays for Cool Stuff in Utah. You can catch all of his videos on YouTube. Just search for Cool Stuff in Utah. Join me tomorrow for the Greenhouse Show. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Jin isn't just a performer, he's a husband, a stepfather, and a fixture in Utah's classical music scene, and he's originally from South Korea. The University of Utah graduate has played with the Utah Symphony and taught children's violin.